Hi, CD. Can you talk about can you talk about the logistics of how the coaching is going to be handled in the first couple games without not only Gino but now with Shay, and who's handling the responsibility she had, and there are people moving up and back, and how is that going to work?
Well, I think Gino just, first of all, I'm not as boring as he made me sound. So it's not, I'm the exact same every day. So just so that you know. But I think as far as the duties, I think he alluded to it. We were able to have Ben step in and assist us on the court. And so that's helpful. I think Jamal, we each have our scouting anyway. So I was scouting High Point, and then we break up the scouting for the first weekend. So we're each doing that. But we've, obviously there are added media is an added responsibility now that I don't usually have to do. That takes time away from whether it's my scout or doing stuff with the players. But I think we're in good shape.
All right, Charlotte.
Hey, Chris. How have just been the last couple of days been, and what you've been able to do that you guys were finally able to get some practice time in last night?
It's been, well, we knew going in that we were going to have to quarantine for the 2 days to test and all of that. And I think we expected it, and it was what we expected. And then once we were able to have a little freedom where we ordered some dinner in and been able to go to a food room, to a study hall room and eat there. So it's been the last day. It just seems like it's been a month since we actually left Connecticut. It seems a lot longer because there's been such a long time without basketball. Practicing last night was great. I thought the players went really hard. They wanted to go hard. They wanted to get out there and get their legs back. And so I thought the workout was good. We were able to be outside walking between here and when we test and when we go to practice. So all of that has been really positive. I think Gino alluded to it as well. Our players have taken it all in stride. So I feel like they've handled it really well.
Vicky.
Hi, CD.
Hi.
Gino has been talking about quite a bit this season about how he tried to coach the team the same way that he always coaches, and you just can't do it with these kids. And he's had to tack, like in sailing terms, and get to still keep the same expectations, but get there a different way. Like, what have you noticed, or what has he in particular, or you as a staff, like what exactly have you had to do differently this year?
Things take sometimes a little bit longer. There are a lot more questions. Sometimes that, I give them I ask him, is it a question or an excuse? Because if it's a question, I'm happy to answer it. If it's an excuse as to why you didn't do it, that's different. So trying to teach them the difference between a genuine question and having an excuse for something that you just didn't do. But their questions are generally pretty good. They want to get better. They're learning. It just takes a little bit longer to get things done with such a young group.
Matthew?
Coach, just a little bit on Aaliyah Edwards. What have you seen from her as she's grown in her first season, and what are you expecting out of her as the tournament starts?
Aaliyah has been probably one of our most improved players. I think the more comfortable she gets, the better she plays. I think she's worked on finishing around the basket. I think she's working on her outside shot. She's definitely our most physical banger. She's also one of our quickest players, so she's able to defend post players. She can guard on the perimeter as well. So she gives us a different dimension when she gets in there, both on the defensive end and on the offensive end. It gives us that spark. She's our, the spark off the bench for us, and that's really important.
Dan Connolly.
Hi, CD. What kind of adjustment is it for Ben to step into an assistant coaching role from being a video director for you guys?
Well, I think Coach mentioned that Ben had been an assistant a number of years ago. So, I think he's just trying to do whatever we need him to do to help. And that, he still has to have his responsibilities with film, doing, getting our film ready and things that we need for each team. But now he's going to step in and help with scouting. And I think he's just like everybody. When you're down one or two people, the next person has to step up and be ready to go. And Ben is willing and ready to do anything that we need him to do, whether it's on the court, behind the videotaping stuff, getting film, or being another set of eyes on the bench.
Carl?
Chris, is there a team you've played in the last year or two that's comparable to High Point in their style?
Almost every Big East team. I'd say most Big East teams, because they shoot a lot of threes. They play 5 out. They make a lot of threes. So I think that's one good thing, is that we've played a lot of teams like that. DePaul, Creighton, Villanova, all of those teams are similar to High Point.
Thank you.
Alexa?
Hi, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Gino had mentioned that he thought the kids have grown up a lot. And I'm sure even in the last maybe week or so, you probably have seen that too, just having to deal with all of the, it's just a unique situation there. From your perspective, how have they grown up from the beginning of the season to now? And even in the last maybe week or two, when it's really postseason time and they've had to deal with all these kind of extraordinary circumstances?
Well, just from experience, you can, gaining experience, knowing what to expect, that helps you handle things differently. So from a practice standpoint, understanding how we go, how hard we have to go, what the intensity level is expected, and what practice is supposed to look like, how are we supposed to play, and that playing below that is unacceptable, whether it's in practice or in a game. I think they've grown in that way. They understand it, and they now demand that of themselves. So like, even a week ago, I thought the growth stood out to me most at the Big East tournament, with how tuned in they were to both the scouting, to both just being in the bubble for the first time. They were really focused on the games and wanting to win the championship. And there really was a no nonsense approach. And I thought that was, big strides from even just like 3 weeks before that. And then last night going into practice, they were anxious. They were excited to actually play and practice. And, you sit around all day and sometimes you could go to, practice. We practiced late last night. And it could be like, but it wasn't. It was very enthusiastic right from the get-go. They were demanding of each other. We talk about there's a different UConn team, regular season and NCAA tournament. And I think that they embraced that, and they practiced last night like a team, a Connecticut team, getting ready to play in the NCAA tournament.
Michelle?
Yeah, Chris, I wanted to ask you, from your perspective as somebody who was a player, a student athlete back at the, when the transition was happening. Obviously, you played in the AIAW tournament, the last one, going to the NCAA. With everything that has been talked about in the last 24 hours in particular, and the sort of obvious inequities, how do you feel about that? Because you come from that perspective of when people didn't expect much, frankly. And how do you talk to your players about that? Because, I think they have the right to talk about it, but sort of balancing that with what, like I said, what you experienced.
Well, I think it's like a lot of things. We've come a long way, but we're still not close to where we need to be. And you can appreciate where we've come from. And I can certainly appreciate where we've come from. The inequity of things, even, at the Final Four a few years ago, there were things that, that were not fair. And the one positive thing I would say, and I think Lynn did this last night, they listened to the coaches and they're going to make changes, and hopefully they'll make bigger changes before we have to have a social media blast to have everyone be embarrassed and see the differences. So I think on the one hand, it's unfortunate that it happened, but on the other hand, I think there's been a response to it, and hopefully it'll improve not only for the rest of this tournament, but for the future. It'll be looked at differently. There'll be more eyes on it, and there'll be more people. I certainly don't believe that the committee went in thinking, well, let's see how we can not have a great experience for the players. I don't think that's how they approached it. But certainly there were areas that were overlooked and not deemed important that are important in a lot of ways. And that just can't happen. It's not acceptable. I think everyone in the NCAA knows that. Everyone on the committee knows that. So, I try to balance it with our players where, you've worked hard and you've earned this. And is it fair? No, but that can't keep you from moving forward and presenting it to the public and giving it a platform that for somebody, it might not be you, it might be somebody after you that's going to benefit more. But that's part of being in a woman and being in sports and taking a stand and making a statement so that it may not always help you, but it's certainly going to help someone that comes after you.
I was wondering, as much as you have stepped in multiple times, I think 10 times as a head coach, and obviously been there as long as Gino has. Does the game feel any different to you though when you're the head coach, or is the feeling of it, when you're just walking out to the bench, does it feel the same, or is it a little bit different feeling for you if when you're in the head coaching role?
Definitely. It's definitely this time stepping in is definitely different, because the other times, if we lost, the season still continued. In this situation, it's much different, because if we lose, our season's over. So that's definitely a different feel to it. And, you want what's best for the players, and you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to give them the opportunity to move on. But the feel as a head coach, I think the first time I did it, I was surprised that I did have a feel in the game for it, more so because I had never done it. And so I think there is a sense when I've been the head coach that the game, you do have a feel for it, and you're part of it in a different way. Instead of making the suggestions, you're making the decisions. And it's not, I won't say, it's fun, it's exciting, it's challenging, it's all of those things. And it's an experience. I just don't know, I hope that between Jamal and myself, Ben, that we have the kind of experience that we need going into this game and going into the NCAA tournament to be able to help our players move forward. And I'm expecting that we do. I feel confident in what we've prepared. That's the funny part. This preparation didn't start, Monday or Tuesday after, Gino got sick. This preparation started in September. So what we've done well and what we've gotten better at all year will be part of what we do against High Point, and what we're not good at, what we've not been good at all year, will probably be evident, or maybe hopefully less evident, against High Point. So this has been a year-long process, and we're just looking to be able to put it all together in a 40-minute game on Sunday.
Thank you.
Charlotte?
To kind of follow up on the youth stuff, Gino had talked about just how this group has really invigorated the program. And I was curious your thoughts on that after having coached them for a full regular season, how you've kind of seen that, just the makeup with 7 freshmen and 3 juniors and 2 sophomores kind of change the way you have to coach.
Invigorate is one word. Drive you crazy would be another word, another, feeling. Because they are so young, and because there's so many of them. normally when you have freshmen, you might have 4, maybe you have 5. And in this situation, we have, 7 that have never played in an NCAA, well, actually more than 7. We have only 3 have actually ever played in an NCAA tournament game. So, it is invigorating because they are a lot of fun. I think they enjoy each other's company, and that makes it enjoyable as a coach to come to practice. It makes it fun to do stuff in, just around the program. And it has brought life to us. I think it's been different in a positive way. And I think everyone has enjoyed it and just want to keep playing.
We have time for a couple more, so we'll go to Roger and then Joe to finish up with CD.
Hi, CD. Just the opposite end of that, youthful invigoration. I mean, Coach has always talked about he needs the players to lead and not just the coaches to be the face of the team. Where have you gotten that leadership? I mean, it seems like the juniors have been overlooked a lot this year by outsiders, but I would think that they're giving you an awful lot in terms of that leadership you need.
Yeah, I think our juniors have done a great job with that, because it would be easy as older players, as to be the senior members of the team, to not want to be involved with all the young guys and to, find it silly or to not enjoy being that and not being able to help them. And they've embraced it from the end of last year, the end of the season last year. Those 3, Olivia, Kristen and E, have embraced the fact that they were going to be the oldest players on the team and that they needed to take a leadership role. And they've done that. And they've certainly, they spearheaded it off the court when everyone just first got here. And they've helped maintain the attitude of, hey, look, we can't control things. This is how we do it. We got to work hard. And they've really been an important part of trying to stabilize, because with young players, they can be up and down emotionally a lot. And that's one of the things that you have to try to learn. And I think E and Liv and Kristen have tried to be more like this so that everybody can stay a little calmer. But they have done, you're right, I think they have been overlooked in some ways, but they've done a tremendous job. And the young guys have wanted to be led. And I think that's important too. You have to have people that want to be led. And they certainly respect and listen and learn and have learned from their older teammates.
All right, last question from Joe Zone.
Hi, Chris. Here's my question. Do you think because there is nothing else to do, that they're so locked down and so other distractions, do you think there's a basketball benefit to that all their focus now just goes to getting ready and playing the games?
Yeah, there's still school. Like they had class this morning, and with the time change, some of them are a little bit earlier than what they would normally have. So we've tried to keep on a similar schedule. But certainly I think basketball has been a great outlet for them, and probably they've enjoyed and appreciated it more because of the way the rest of their campus life has had to be. But I can't say enough about, this team's dedication to not, to working really hard at doing the right things and not putting themselves in bad situations. And they've worked really hard. They've never once questioned, and we've asked, at different points earlier in the season, was this something they wanted to continue? And they all said yes, without hesitation. Not going home for Christmas, all yes, without hesitation. So they're committed. They love basketball. They love being on this team. And now they're getting to experience the fruit of that, that labor.
All right. Thank you, CD. We will
Thanks.
have Olivia and Kristen in 1 second. If anyone, there will